All right, so first I want to start off by saying, Call Halayim La, Yahweh Ba Hashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba Hashem Kakudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostle, great Messon, tell me truth and rule well, Shalom. All right, so I wanted to get into the creature, Leviathan, or not Leviathan, my bad, yeah. So I'm going to turn to Job 41. Go ahead and find it, Job 41. All right, so this is Job 41. All right, so I got this Bible, and it got like little like details or like what the chapter is about. But it says, this is chapter 41, Job. The Lord points to His power in the Leviathan. All things under the whole heaven are the Lord's. All right, so this is verse 1. It says, Canst thou draw out Leviathan with an hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? So when you go fish for something out in the sea, Leviathan is a sea creature. So the Lord is saying, can you go out there and fish and catch him with a hook like a fish? I mean, the answer honestly is no. Then you go to verse 2. It says, Canst thou put an hook in his nose, or bore his jaw with a thorn? And then like a thorn is like the end of the hook. It gets stuck in the fish jaw. So then you go to verse 3. It says, Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words? It say, and this is like almost like the Lord's sense of humor. He says, will he speak soft words? No, he not gonna speak no soft words. Then it say, verse 4, will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou? So if you don't know, Leviathan is like the character Godzilla. Like a lot of these movies in Hollywood, they go in the Bible and they'll go and like read different stories and just make them into movies. A lot of people don't know that though. It says, will he make a covenant with thee? Wilt thou take him for a servant forever? And then in verse 5 say, wilt thou play with him as with a bird, or wilt thou bind him for thy maidens? So it say, will you play with him as a bird? So, you know, with parrots and stuff, you can hold them on your hand and shit. And like they talk back to you and everything. So then in verse 6, it says, shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? And you know, in them fish markets and stuff, they catch like a big ass shark or something, or a big ass fish, and like they chop them up, and then they have like different pieces throughout the market. But nah, you're not finna chop him up. So then it says, canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Verse 8, lay thine hand upon him, remember the battle, do no more. So the NIV version says, I'm roughly paraphrasing, say, like if you touch him, like you gonna remember not to touch him, because it say do no more, so that you're not gonna do it again, because you gonna realize where you fucked up at. Then it says verse 9, behold, the hope of him is in vain, shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? So this is saying, like, when people in the day of vengeance, like people just gonna look at him, and like they gonna die of like a heart attack or something, or they just gonna like have a stroke because they so scared. So then it says, verse 10, none is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the heaven, whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. So that's the Lord saying everything under heaven, or just everything created, is his. Verse 12, I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. And then if we go, it say, I will not conceal his parts nor his power. So that means he's not gonna have no mercy. So I'm gonna get, it's Ecclesiasticus 39 and 28. It says 20, it says, There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. Verse 29. Fire and hail and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts, scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. Verse 31. They shall rejoice in his commandment. So, like it says, they were made for the day of destruction or vengeance. So his commandment to these different spirits and different newly created creatures is going to be just to go out and kill the wicked. So it says, and they shall be ready upon the earth when need is. So they not here right now. They on reserve right now. I mean, what they could be, but we just don't see them. And then it says, I mean, because if you think about it, like some of the, you know, they haven't searched out the whole sea. They haven't searched out the whole sea. And then like in Antarctica and like the Arctic Circle and stuff like that, they got stuff up there. That's why, you know, a lot of people can't go up there. Like what is it? The place over in Nevada. Like the government basically has that like on lockdown. Can't nobody go down there. And also like Antarctica, can't nobody live down there. It's barely nobody down there unless you part of the government, because I'm pretty sure there's some stuff down there that people can't see. So, and it says, and when their time is come, and the time is going to be Jeremiah 30:7, Jacob's trouble. That's when they're going to come, in the day of vengeance. And then it says, when their time has come, they shall not transgress his word. So, yeah, it say they're not going to transgress his word. And his word, his commandment is going to be destroy the sinners and the wicked. And it's also another verse that talks about like their sole purpose is to wreak havoc. So they're gonna have pleasure in doing that, and they're gonna have pleasure in pleasing the Most High, because that's why they were created. They're not gonna have no mercy. All right, so I'm gonna get back to Job. It say, who's that? Oh yeah, I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, no mercy, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment? Who can come to him with double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut together with a close seal. So, you know, with reptiles and snakes and all them different reptiles and stuff, they got scales. And even with fish, like the scales protect them, and you can see where their scales divide. But this right here say, his scales are his pride, shut up as together with a close seal. So they so close, like, oh, then you go to verse 16, it says, one is so near together, one is so near to another that no air can come between them. So like nothing gonna be able to get through, since that protects like their inner parts. Like ain't nothing gonna be able to basically destroy them, because you can't get to what's inside, which is like the organs and stuff. Then it says, verse 18, by his neesings a light doth shine, and his eyes are eyelids of the morning. So his eyes are real bright. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. So it's like he like a dragon. He breathed fire. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. So when you cooking tea, or like when you when you put a pot on the stove with like spaghetti or whatever you put in pots, and then you put the little top on it, and then it got like a little hole, like the glass top, and then it got a little hole. When it get real hot, like smoke and steam come out of it. That's how he breathed. So then it say, his breath kindleth coals, and flame goeth out of his mouth. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. So sorrow, I'm pretty sure sorrow means sadness. So like he's seeing everybody, you know, they scared, that's gonna bring him joy. It's gonna make him happy. So then it says, the flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. So his scales, again, like, you're not going to be able to move his scales with nothing. His heart is as firm as stone, yet as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. So the Hebrew, it's either the Hebrew or the Greek word for heart. It's actually Hebrew. So it means mind. So it's saying that his mind is firm. So you're not going to be able to change his mind. Like he got one purpose, and his sole purpose is to destroy, so that you're not getting that off his mind. So then it says, when he raises up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear and the dart, nor the harbingen. So like none of the, it says none of the, I'm reading it again. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the harbingen. So basically it's gonna bring it to like none effect. It's not really gonna work on him. It's not gonna work on him. It says, he esteemeth iron as straw and brass as rotten wood. So if you look at the majority of weapons, everything is made of some type of metal. So it say that those metals, where's that? Right here, yeah. He esteemeth iron as straw. So iron is like one of the strongest metals. So it's basically gonna be like hay, like little straw. And then it says brass, bullets are made out of brass as rotten wood. So it's just gonna be, you know, when you got say you wet some wood and then it starts to dry rot, you can punch through some wood that is dry rotting. So it's just gonna be like that. It's gonna be like with ease. Then it says, the arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. So the arrow, all throughout the Bible, arrows are missiles. So it say missile's not gonna make him flee. So he's not gonna turn at the sight of a missile. Then it says, darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep to boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path to shine after him. One should think the deep to be hoary. Upon the earth there is not like his, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all things. He is a king over all the children of pride. So he rules over the ones that are prideful. And who's prideful? The wicked. I'm gonna turn to he was made to destroy the prideful. I'm gonna go to amphetamine. Obadiah 1:3 says, the pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rocks, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? It's talking about Esau. And I will also want to grab Psalms 49 and 11. It say, their inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. So it's saying their kingdoms, they thinking that their kingdoms are going to continue forever. Then it says, in their dwelling places to all generations. Yeah. So their dwelling places is another thing. Like their kingdoms, their colonies. They think that all that is going to be passed down to those that came after them. It says they called their names, they called their lands after their own names. And who does this? It's talking about the wicked Esau, these Edomites, red people. Their blood shows through their skin. It's some so-called white people. Well, I was so-called white people. There is confusion in face. You could have some so-called white people that appear to be white, but they're actually Jakes. But those that descend from those head banking families, the international banking families, the 13 families that are in charge of like the whole world, the ones that like the Rockefellers and who is it? The Rockefellers, the 1948ers. Them over there that print the money. It's talking about them people, and the ones that was in charge of like the slave trade, just the ones that deceived the nations. It's basically talking about them. But it says they called their lands after their own names, and I had an example for the state of Virginia. You could look this up. Like the state of Virginia was named after Queen Elizabeth the first, or however you say that. She was known as the Virgin Queen, so that's where you get the name Virginia. It came from Sir Walter Raleigh. Yeah, he gave her that name. So they that's an example of that, because it says they called their lands after that name. So she was known as the Virgin Queen, so they named Virginia after her. Then you also got like Africa and like America. Those are also named after like Edomites. All right. Yeah, I was gonna grab Malachi. No, actually, I'm gonna go to Genesis. Chapter 25. And yeah, if you don't like the language and stuff, you just unsubscribe, because we're just supposed to bring out the word. It's not about like sounding good and all that stuff. So like no hard feelings. But it's chapter 25, Genesis chapter 25, and this is the birth of Esau and Jacob. So it says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over. So the color of his skin was red. It says, like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau, and so his name was Esau. And so they was twins. And if you think about it, everybody comes from the brown race. So brown creates all different types of colors. Because I know you have some people that say, like, how can a brown person create a white, like somebody that's so-called white? I mean, it's possible, because in the beginning everybody was brown anyway. All right, where's that at? All right, verse 26. And after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold on Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And that's symbolic, because it's also, if I can find it in yes, in Esdras. It might be in 2nd Esdras. They talk about him holding his heel. Yeah, right here. This is 2nd Esdras chapter 6 and verse 9. It says, this is verse 8. And he said unto me, okay, I'm sorry, verse 7. It says, Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times, and when shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he answered, and he said unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the hill of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So he was in these end times, and the end times is it said that Esau will be in power. So the hand and the heel part is symbolic of Jacob pulling Esau out of power in the end days. Yeah, it's right. So then it says, and the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter and a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. And Jacob side pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint. Therefore was his name called Esau. He was called Esau because of the name red, and also he came out red when he was younger. So red, he got the nickname basically red, and in Hebrew, the name is Adawam. It's Hebrew for Edom. And I wanted to get Malachi 1 and 4. All right, so it says, whereas, all right, hold on. So I'm going to first start at verse 3. It says, I hated Esau and laid his mountains to waste and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. So Esau came from the mountains, the land of Caucasus. Verse 4, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, they're poor, but we will return and build the desolate places, because at one time they was ruling in the Roman empires and the Greek empires, and they went back into them caves, and they came out, and the Roman Empire revised or reformed. The rebirth was the Renaissance period, when they came back into Europe, and they had the European Empire, and then they got the U.S. back in like the 1600s, or whenever they came over here. That whole lie with Columbus, 1492 or whatever. And it says, it says, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath an indignation forever. So forever is a period. It's a period of time, because they got their he sets up who he wants to set up over these kingdoms. They gonna rule for a period of time, and then they go into slavery. Because you go to Revelation 13:10. Revelation 13:10, it says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So he gonna have indignation against them forever, that period of time. But after that period of time is up, they getting destroyed off the face of the earth. So they're gonna be no more. So it says, he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints, so the long suffering. And the saints of the Most High have suffered for a while. It's all part of the story, but for the most part, that they went off a few times, so we have suffered for going off and being adulterous spiritually. All right, so I'm gonna finish. The point where I want to get out is, it says, whereas Edom saith, so this is Edom in Malachi 1 verse 4. So it's talking about Edom. Then it says, the Lord caused them, hold on, I'm sorry, from the middle. It says, build the desolate places, thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness. So Esau is wicked. It's the border of wickedness. That's where wicked people come from. And to reiterate, it's not those that appear white. They got the covering cast. They call people that appear white to be white people, but some people have the confusion of face. So Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hand of the wicked. he covered the face of the judges thereof. So everybody's under a covering cast, but the ones that are wicked are the ones that deceive the whole world, them banking families, and then the ones that was in charge of the slave trade and everything, and then ones that try to cover up history. And most recently, you had Trump. Trump said they're gonna have a patriotic like history class, so they trying to take slavery out of the history books. They trying to be the Most High again. Well, they always been. So I wanted to grab. I think it was Revelation 6:3. All right, so I'm gonna start at verse 1. It says, "And I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals, and I heard as it were the noise of thunder, and one of the four beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. And when he had opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, Come and see. And there went out another horse that was red." So this horse is red, as we read in Genesis, the 25th chapter. And it says, "And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword." So it says he took peace from the earth. It's only one nation of people that take peace from this earth. Actually, yes, that main tribe of people that take peace from the earth, but it's in Psalms. It might be in the 83rd chapter. Yeah, so it says, "For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, which is a great confusion, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head, so they walk in a great pride. They that have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones, the Israelites. They have said, Come and let us cut them off from being a nation, and cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites and of Moab, and Hagrinis." So them and a couple other people basically took peace from the earth. But for the most part, well, as we read in Revelation 6:3, it's talking about Edom, but it's also people that were confederate with them, as we read in Psalms 83, but just with the head tribe being in charge of all of it. And I also wanted to grab, I think it was Malachi. Somewhere else in Malachi. Oh, no. What is it? Micah. It's Micah. Let me find Micah. So Micah 2:1, or it might be 3:1. Oh no, it's actually 2:1. It says, this is talking about the wicked. It says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands." So these Edomites, they devise, which means to plan iniquity, which is wickedness. They plan wickedness and work evil on their bed. So when they sleeping at night, they planning to do wicked deeds. And when the morning comes around, they do it just because they can. Job 9:24. Then it says, and they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses, and they take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. So it say, take them by violence and houses, and take them away. So they take people's land. It say they covet fields and take them by violence. So they're taking people's land by violence, and that's been Esau's way of taking, or that's been Esau's way of living. They just take shit by violence, and they just call it theirs. And it says take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And whose heritage did they take? You go to Revelation 2:9 and 3:9. They take the Jewish. They tried to take the Jewish culture, but since we had this truth, we know that that's not their true culture. So yeah, they basically took Jake's culture. Yes, I'm gonna read that again. Revelation 6:4. And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword. So as we read in Micah 2:1 and Micah 2:1, they take lands and they steal people's heritage. All right. And so I also want, if I can find it, it said that it was given to him a great sword. All right. Where is it? Okay, so it wasn't. All right, so I'm going to start at verse 39. This is Genesis chapter 27, verse 39. And Isaac, his father, answered. So the Esau, I'm going to go to verse 38. It says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac, his father, answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. So he said his dwelling, which is his house shall be, or where he lives should be the fatness of the earth. So Esau goes and takes everything by violence, as we read in Micah 2:1, or Micah chapter 2 and verse 2. He takes everything by violence. So he has he has basically the whole world. And if he doesn't, he goes and takes it by violence in these different wars and stuff. Or like a country has like resources, he goes and takes it by violence. Because then you go to verse 40, it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. So back when, like in the time of King David and King Solomon, they had the Edomites in slavery. So then Esau took the yoke off his neck, and he came into power like a few years later, and had like not a few years later, a couple hundred years later, and had like the Roman Empire and the Greek Empire and stuff like that. All right, so all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Tell me truth, rule well. Shalom.